this is Brad from Albion Fireworks. We're located in Albion, Wisconsin, on the corner of Highway 51 and Albion Road. Today I'm going to be talking about cakes, what to be looking for when you go to buy a cake at a fireworks stand, some of the safety features, and some of the different effects and things to look for when buying a cake. Okay, so here we have some what we call cake fireworks, and what a cake firework means is that you basically light the firework one time and then the desired effect is going to happen on its own. You don't have to relight each individual firework. And so I want to just point out, I'll just take one of these and just show you kind of the basic idea behind the cake. So this one on the magic carpet, for example, right here, usually on the corner, you'll find the fuse. And there's the fuse right there. Most of the cake style fireworks have the fuse on the side, or on the corner I should say. And all you do is you just basically peel the tape right off here. I'm not going to do it on this one. Peel that tape right off and that fuse will stick out. And then you light the firework, you walk away, and this particular one has 25 shots in it. So this one's going to have 25 shots in succession. You don't have to relight them all. It's just a one light, and away it goes. Now, some of the things I want to point out with some of these cakes are the effects, some of the things to look for in terms of what the cake does, so you know the difference between getting a cake versus getting a fountain. And for example, let's take the assorted mines right here. I have this in with the cakes because if you look at the warning right here on the package, and each firework has this, it'll have a little warning label on there. Now, it's important to look at this not just because there's a warning there, but because it tells you a little bit about what this particular cake does. So, if we look here, it says, emits showers of sparks and shoots flaming balls. Now, as funny as that sounds, that does tell me something, that this is going to start off with a shower of sparks, much like a fountain, but then at the end it's going to shoot a firework in the air and it's going to explode. That's the important one that I want to pay attention to. Depending on your city ordinances, depending on the state that you live in, you may or may not be able to shoot things in the air. And so this would be something to pay attention to in terms of the types of fireworks that you want to get. So anything that says it's going to shoot flaming balls means it's going to send a firework in the air and there's going to be some kind of an explosion. If it only states emit showers of sparks, that means it's going to stay on the ground and it's only going to have a colorful spark or whistle show. It's not going to shoot anything up in the air or anything's going to be exploding. So those are important things to pay attention to when it comes to looking at what fireworks you want to buy. Now, if we look here, we can kind of see there's a very large difference in size in terms of different styles of cakes. We have these cakes here, which are much smaller. This particular one has 25 shots in it. We can look at the top. You can sort of see the size of the tubes there, about how big they are. They're maybe about the size of the tip of my finger. Okay. If we walk over here to the Southern Comfort, it's going to be a little bit harder to see. But if we look here, there's one tube right there. And if you look at the size of my finger, it's about double that size. So it's going to give you an idea of the size difference in the particular firework that you're going to experience. Now, if we look at this cake here, this one looks a little bit different than the traditional square cake. It's called a Z cake. Now, if you look here, it's got this fan shape to it. What that means is that it's going to send the firework in different places in the sky. Kind of neat effect. It doesn't just shoot straight up in the air, but in different areas. Now, on these types of Z cakes, typically they'll have a label here that's going to tell you what direction to point the firework at. Now, based on this, and I know it's hard to read, it says make sure that that this side is facing the spectators because of the effects that this particular firework does. We want to make sure the spectators are watching this front side of the firework. If we had this firework turned this way and the spectators were still where I'm standing, you're not going to see as much of the effects that the firework is intended to display. So make sure if a firework has this label that you're paying attention to that. Now, if you look at the square cakes, there's no disclaimer on the top of that, so you can basically position this firework any way you want. This is another one. You can position this firework any way you want. Same thing with this large one. You can position this any way you want. Typically, with these types of cakes, with the Z cakes, a lot of times there's a disclaimer on there telling you what way to point the firework. Now, I also want to pay attention to these little things here. There's this one called the Magic Crystals, and there's these right here called the Ladybugs. Now, if you look here, it says it emits showers of sparks, it spins and rises in the air. Now, the reason that I'm including this in with the cakes is because it is a firework that does go up in the air. Now, this doesn't have any kind of a report on it, which means it doesn't explode, but it does go in the air. It is going to spin on the ground, and there's going to be a big spark show, but then it's going to launch in the air, and it's going to have a little bit of a pop at the top, but no real report or explosion. The magic crystal is the same way. It's going to spin like a top, and it's going to kind of shoot in the air like a rocket, and then have a little top and a little color, or a little pop and a little color show at the very top of it. So these are fireworks to pay attention to, again, with city ordinances or state laws in terms of anything that goes in the air. This isn't going to stay on the ground. It's going to go up in the air. And if we look here, right there, it spins upwards and emits showers of sparks. There's our warning again. Now this one also has a performance on it, and we'll see this with some of the fireworks too. So on this performance it says spinning on the ground and rising into the sky with strong whistling. So this is going to give you an idea that there's going to be some whistles. This one's going to be a little bit loud as well. Now if we go into some of these bigger cakes, we can also find that performance. So right here on Jaws, the performance is right there, and I know it's real difficult to see. It basically says, comes with big shots rising with purple tail to crackling flowers and ends with a 6-shot finale. So it gives you an idea that there's going to be some purple in this one. There's going to be a 6-shot finale, which is going to be pretty loud and pretty rapid. So that just gives me an idea of what this particular fireworks is going to do. Now, not all fireworks, not all cakes have this description on there, but a lot of them do. So those are things to pay attention to as well. Now, the last thing I want to point out is going to be the size. We see that obviously this cake is much bigger than this one, and right on down the line. Now, this is what we call a 500-gram cake. It means it's got a lot more gunpowder in it because it's sending a lot more fireworks in the air. Typically, the fireworks are bigger. We saw the tubes in here that were a little bit different size versus this one. This is a 350-gram cake. So that means it's going to have basically half, or a little bit less than half of the powder that this particular firework has. But it's still going to be nice and big. It's going to give you a good display. It just means it may not be quite as high or quite as massive as a big cake like this. Now, we even have cakes bigger than this. We have cakes that they're still 500-gram cakes, but there's just a lot more of it. For example, there's some right on the shelf over there. Those big tall ones right on the top. Those are all cakes, and I think the one has 176 shots on it. We have some that have upwards of 200 shots to them. So cakes come in all different sizes. Just because they're in a square package like this doesn't necessarily mean that all of the fireworks go straight up in the air. Sometimes you do have the Z cakes like this that are just packaged in a square box. So that's another thing to pay attention to. Sometimes you can feel the top of that, and you can kind of get an idea of what direction the tubes are aiming. This particular firework, all the tubes are pointing straight up. So I don't have to worry about this going in any different direction up in the sky. So these are all examples of cake fireworks that you can get for your 4th of July show. They work great. There's a wide variety of different types of cakes you can buy, different sizes, different effects, different prices. These are great additions to anyone's fireworks show. The audience generally really enjoys them. Again, they're very busy, they're very active, lots of different colors and different effects. So this is Brad from Albion Fireworks, and remember, if I'm running, you better keep up.